everybody, and welcome to Let's Be Honest with me, Wise Oldman. You are very welcome to part 2 of I Still Drink and I Know Even More Things. In this episode, we're going to do even more reading, however this time, maybe as a team. Possibly a little pulling action is in the cards. You remember pulling from the 1980s when you could actually go up to a woman and have a conversation? We may even take a good book to a concert or a large gathering. Sounds strange? Well, it's not. And for me, the important one, reading the small and seemingly insignificant moments. You know, the ones that define you. So I'm going to have myself a little tequila. Why wouldn't I? And I'm going to tell you that I still drink. And I know even more things. Am I promoting drinking? No. Welcome to Let's Be Honest. The other day, my wife asked me if I wanted a cup of coffee. My answer was, of course, yes, always, and a biscuit, please. Can't have a cuppa without a biscuit. I'm a bloody northerner. It's actually against law up north in the UK not to have a biscuit, not to offer a biscuit with a cuppa. Just ask anybody's gran. They drank and they knew things. God, my northern accent's gone to shit. My wife then said, "What do you want to be remembered for when you're gone?" I thought, where am I going? To the shops? To the toilet? She said, no, gone. You know, dead. Now, at this point, I didn't want to show alarm, but in my head, what was swirling around was all those movies where the wife kills the husband in new and creative ways. This slightly unusual line of questioning was quite out of character for my lovely wife, which, as you can imagine, also made me have a little smell of the coffee, just to see if I could detect, anything out of order. So after I quickly nipped to the rubbish chute, just to make sure there wasn't an empty box with a picture of an angry rodent on the front, and at the same time apologising for bringing her Aunt Flo into the conversation the other day, I said to her, I don't think I care if I'm remembered, nor will I be remembered for anything. Not really. Which I think made her a little sad at my lack of ambition in this area. She asked me if I was okay, to which I replied perfectly fine. Better than fine, actually, because for a while now, I think I've realised that chasing is just a waste of arsing time. Now, I suspect there isn't an afterlife, so one would imagine we also won't be rewarded in some alternative paradise in the sky. Or, for that matter, go to the other place, downstairs, that's portrayed as being significantly warmer, where I have to listen to the Meghan Markle podcast on repeat. For eternity. Well, they do say it's whatever you're scared the most of, that's what's going to be repeated. I thought, is it spiders, snakes, fear of falling? No, it's listening to her. For eternity. Good Lord, can you imagine? That's definitely worth a drink. Cheers. Am I promoting drinking? Actually, yeah, if I have to listen to her, totally. Cheers. Yum, yum, yum. I continued to say to my wife, well, I don't think I will be remembered, and neither will most of us. Not really. I said to her that I read somewhere that you will be remembered for as long as people keep saying your name. So I thought, not that long then. Fuck me, Wise, what are you doing to us today? This is all a bit morbid. I want to be remembered for something great. Nice. I hope you do. Respect to that. However, my tiny point here is, while you are striving for greatness or fame, as people seem to be doing at every turn, and not really realising that fame and greatness are very different things, especially these days, all I'm saying is don't be a dick along the way. Now, I thought about all of this over my poison-free cuppa, and if this is the case, if most of us aren't destined for greatness, if there isn't an afterlife, then we should really try and be remembered on a day-to-day basis while we are still here, not worrying about a time that may never exist. For the small things that we do every day, not for that one massive thing that will almost certainly never happen. Wise, I have a question. Are you going to try and be positive today and maybe not swear or drink so much? Yes, no, and most definitely no. So those small moments, why don't we call them little pockets of being fucking cool? Let's call it like it is. When I see things happening around me, little gestures that people do, I often think, that's fucking cool. Sometimes I tell the person, sometimes I don't. Now, I think I notice as much as I do because my eyes are always open. I am always reading people, and the people creating these cool gestures are also reading as they go. They are creating little pockets of cool wherever they are. I love that. Do you do that sometimes? I would imagine that if that's how they roll, they often don't even realise or think what they're doing. It's just a habit. Just like the self-obsessed arsehole that exists in the world. Being an arsehole is equally a habit. I mean, you weren't born an arsehole. Nobody was. You learned to be an arsehole. So which version of self are you? The self-obsessed or the self-aware? Both versions of you can be learnt, unlearnt, and as always, are a choice. Now, I realise a lot of us say that we don't really care what people think about us, especially as we get older. But I think that's a defence mechanism. I'm not sure I really buy it anymore. I mean, I actually say it about myself a lot. However, I do question it more than ever before. Don't we all want to be looked upon as being, I don't know, nice, caring, fun, whatever it may be? Don't we? Just a little bit? Which brings me nicely right back to my point from episode 1. I, and I'm sure you, would like to be remembered fondly when we leave a room, no matter how big or small the encounter. Again, as mentioned in part 1, do you ever think about it? Do you consider the small moments or just ghost through them? Because there are so many opportunities in an average day to read and create a pocket of fucking cool. If the little pockets of cool phrase is a little crude for your taste, dress it up any way you like. Just be interested, aware, alive, and maybe sensitive to a person or a situation. Perhaps be available to communicate. Just lock up a little bit more. It's all the same, really. Don't you think? Also, if you have a drink, you will know things. You will know more things. Okay, I don't think that's actually true. I obviously made that up. The drinking is just sometimes a bonus. Am I promoting drinking? No. Still yum yum. So before we get on to the big stuff, what about those little moments, the ones that actually may end up defining you? All I'm suggesting is don't forget those little moments on your journey, because if you do the right thing on your journey, you may find you're happier or better prepared when you reach the end. If you ever do. I'm being all right on again, aren't I? Maybe I should have called this episode, "Oh, I drink carrot juice and vanilla lattes, and I know things." Am I promoting vanilla lattes? No. I think I'd rather eat my own shit, thank you very much. To all of you that drink vanilla lattes, I'm sorry. I feel that was a little bit harsh. To be fair, I'm sure a vanilla latte is actually quite pleasant. You know what my problem is? I think it's really more the thought of asking for it. Even if I go gangster, it doesn't work. What? Give me a fucking latte, you slag. Small or large, sir? Let's have it right. Let's have it large. Put it in a mug. You mug. Have it, sir. See, it doesn't work. Oh, God, what's wrong with me? So for those small moments when most of us think it doesn't matter, that's when it matters most. I think so anyway. Most of us can't change the world, but we can change the world around ourselves. Fuck me. There I go again. You know what? I do believe everything I say. Genuinely, I wouldn't say it otherwise. I just hear myself sometimes, and it does come across a bit wank. You know, a bit love and peace. It's the journey, and we can change the world around us. Jesus. It is difficult, though, because we all need love. We all want peace, unless you're a massive cunt. In my defence, I used an extremely colourful word there, because if you don't want peace, then you really are one. Also, I would imagine that we would all like the world around us to be, I don't know, nice. It's just hard not to sound like a tree-hugging wanker when you say it. Ah, well, what can you do? You can have a drink. Am I promoting drinking? Nope. Well, it is the title of the episode. What did you think I was going to do? I'm also, not now, not ever, going to suggest that you read people and start talking to them on the bus or the train. That is a very bad idea. And most of us wouldn't do it anyway. We shouldn't do it. You would just end up looking like a nutter. But not talking doesn't mean that you shouldn't be doing some reading. It's always good just to have a little look around you, just before you dive into the latest installment of mind-numbing talks that make your life tick away. Be, and I make no apologies for swearing at this point, in the fucking room. Whatever room it may be. Do you mean be present? Yes and no. Being in the room is very different. Being in the room is often about contributing. Let's move on to something much bigger, he said with a knowing smile that counts for absolutely nothing on a podcast. Take a concert or a big old festival, basically somewhere with a shitload of people that you don't know. This being a very important place where you should read. Why? Well, because a hell of a lot can go wrong, don't you think? Now, because of my knackered ripe old age, I've been in a million situations like this and, to be fair, mostly got away with it. And one of the reasons for that fact is where I think the reading thing started for me, where it all kicked in. Now, an example of this, because I feel I have to continually give examples, because if I didn't, I'd just be saying, be more aware and look around. That's no good to anybody. Let's say, maybe 1979. I know, it was like 100 years ago, dinosaurs and stuff, shut up. Now, I was at a concert to see a band called The Jam. Now, if you don't know, do yourself a favour. Spotify is a mere click away. Maybe start with the song A Town Called Malice. Ease yourself in gently. Just think Billy Elliot dicking about on a roof. Watch the YouTube clip. It'll make sense. It's a fucking tune. I'm losing the plot. Now, I remember in 1979, the ticket for that concert was £3. Can you imagine? And that's for a band that was in the middle of having 4 number 1 singles and 18 consecutive top 40 hits. £3. I also remember the Vapors were the support band. You know the song, Turning Japanese? Yeah, that one. I mean, this concert was nasty, man. The gig was in a place called Deeside, right on the border of Wales and England. Let's be honest here. There's not a lot of love lost between the Welsh and the English. It was always going to kick off and get a little bit fruity. Long story short, 99% of people in that crowd were blokes. It looked like the terrace of an angry football match. A very angry one, as it turned out. Now, The Jam was my favourite band at the time, so I, after queuing all day, was to be found right at the front of the crowd, pretty near the stage, right in the middle. Very nice. I remember being pretty pleased with myself. Well, you would be, wouldn't you? Which, as it happens, was very different from being in the middle of the crowd at the Wham final concert in 1986, where I was also to be found. Now, to be honest, all that could really go wrong at a Wham concert is you might step in some jelly. To this day, I don't know how 90,000 people at Wembley didn't realise that George had, a bit too much air in his Nikes. God bless you, George. Anyway, I knew something was going to happen at this Jam concert. I could just feel it. My inner Peter Parker was talking to me. Some of you listening to this may say, well, obviously something was going to happen. 7,000 blokes in one space, etc. Well, clearly, not that obviously because of what I'm about to tell you. Now, during the support act, I remember manoeuvring myself to the side where the barrier was, just in case. And because of this, giving up my front row prime position, as mentioned, that I'd queued for all day. It was also a standing room only gig, no VIPs like all the concerts today. I suspect not many in the crowd could actually spell VIP. Now, I thought, if it all goes off, I can just jump over the barrier and I'm good. And did it go off? Fuck me, did it go off. Never seen it before, and I've never seen anything like it, not in 40 years. However, doing what I did and being alive to it all at such a young age literally saved my life. people were honestly kicking 7 shades of shit out of each other. It was like watching an old Western on TV where everybody was just at it. Only in this case, people actually got genuinely hurt. I don't think I've ever witnessed people genuinely really wanting to hurt somebody else. It was mental. But I thought, it's all going to be okay. There is always people to restore order. Enter the security liaison engineers, formerly known as bouncers. They were fun. When all the fighting started, the bouncers, they jumped right in the middle of the crowd, wielding metal bars above their heads and smashing the shit out of anybody that got in their way. Now, if you think that might be a slight exaggeration, it's documented online. Deeside Leisure Centre, North Wales, 79. Have a look. A good few of my friends got the living shit kicked out of them that day. I think the local hospital did a roaring trade that night. Me? Oh, thanks for asking. I think I hurt my thumb a little bit when I jumped over the barrier, and I twisted my knee a bit, what with all that running away. Hey, fuck it. God gave me long legs to run, not to dance. I, of course, embellished my contribution to the fighting the next day at school. I seem to recall I was a combination of Rocky, I mean the movie was only 3 years old at the time, so it was still relevant, and somebody on the front line at Dunkirk. Even the lead singer of the Jam, Paul Weller, actually stopped the show, called a few people a cunt, the Mod Father's words, not mine, and he said, if you want to fight, I'll have you. Not really convinced that was going to help Paul. You also couldn't blame the sauce on that one. It was our final year at school, so we were far too young to drink. Okay, I may be telling a little white lie there. We may have had a couple of gut-wrenching 20p ciders. Am I promoting drinking? No. However, that night I believe I may have drank, but I certainly learned some things. Reading that room saved me from what I think was going to be a serious kicking. I also have some vague recollection of a bouncer, security guard, whatever they called himself. I think one of them had his tongue bitten off. Again, very different from the Wham concert, where I heard that someone actually did step in jelly, dropped an ice cream, and somebody lost a glow band. The reports were unconfirmed. Let's move on from jelly and hooligan, shall we? Never thought I'd say those two words in the same sentence. Why don't we go back to one of these smaller and, again, seemingly insignificant moments of reading, or not, as the case may be. Now, this example is the reception at the gym that I go to. Again, may not be earth-shattering and make the 6 o'clock news, but let's face it, most things that are of any worth don't make the news these days. Being nice, creating pockets of cool, isn't very newsworthy, is it? What's newsworthy is being a dick. That's what makes you famous. Or infamous. Now, I always make a point of saying hello and goodbye when entering and leaving the gym. Every single time, without fail. Why wouldn't I? I'm nice. Oh, big deal. You say hello and goodbye. Ooh, how hard is that? Ooh. It is a big deal, actually. So, up yours, pal. Wow, I'm actually swearing at myself. It's getting weird again, isn't it? I was talking to the gym reception dude, and he said that in his estimation, less than 20% of people, and that's on a good day, say hello or goodbye. Less than 2% have ever even taken the time to talk to him, and he's worked there for almost 2 years. Now, I thought that was pretty shitty, so I decided to stand with him on a number of occasions, just to see if he was exaggerating. It was actually worse than he suggested. The amount of times that he actually said hello and goodbye to people and then was totally ignored was staggering. You know what? I've got to be honest, I really don't understand people. Please don't be that person. If you are that person, it's a habit and it can be unlearned. I'm not suggesting for 1 second that you would even be like this, but next time you go anywhere that there is an opportunity to say hello, do it. Just make a small effort. I think there's every chance you'd feel pretty good after it. That right there is people being wrapped up in themselves, and that is another example of reading a room, or in this case, not reading at all. I know what some of you may be thinking. Africa, sick kitties, cruelty to animals, Ukraine, racism. That's more important, right? But those things are important. Ugh. Are they, though? By the way, what are you doing about any of those things just mentioned? Exactly. Fuck all. I've said it before. I can pretty much guarantee that if you don't care about a person or a situation in your everyday life, you probably don't even know where the fuck Ukraine is. I love some of those shouty people with stop racism signs. I mean, yeah, totally agree with the message. 100%. It's not even a conversation. However, having a sign is not going to be a racist. Stop being a racist. Shit, you've got a sign saying racism is bad. Gosh, I never thought of it like that. I never thought of it as bad. I should stop being a racist then. Sorry. Oops. My bad. I don't know about you, but I think there is more chance of you converting a racist or a meat eater, if that's your passion, by reasoning than shouting. That's all that seems to happen these days. What do you think? Have you ever seen that footage of I guess she was a vegan woman screaming at the guy eating KFC in her face, calling him a murderer and just screaming that he had like a small dick? That dude was having a ball. And to be honest, most people watching it was having a ball as well. She was never going to change his mind. I think that it was all about her. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not wrong. I think Chris Rock nailed it when he said there isn't more racism than there used to be, just more cameras. Now Chris knows things. I don't know if he drinks though. I hope he does. Am I promoting drinking? No. Saying that, I had a little break. Obviously, by the magic of editing, you don't know I did. And I've moved on to Woodford bourbon now, and I don't usually drink bourbon. Delish. Yum yum. Not much more to really say about that basic gym situation, really. The point being, there may be 10 versions of that in your day. By you reading, you could make yours and certainly somebody else's day significantly better. Pockets of fucking cool. Let's get controversial, shall we? How about reading a room to meet the ladies? Or put another way, going out in the pool, get in there, my son, have it, they love it. Don't worry, I'm not going to get all macho and male. I'm not going to go all Andrew Tate on you. I can't believe South Park did an episode on that dick. That man gives man a bad name. Maybe instead of the word pulling, we should say trying to court a lady, like in the 1940s, or we're stepping out together. What? Cream teas? Is that less offensive for some? Look, the word pulling, I'm pretty sure offends some people. I'm just not sure why, though. It's been around since Adam and Eve had a picnic in the garden. Did you enjoy the rib I gave you the other day, love? I'm offended. I know what you're trying to say. I know God said we should have sex for mankind, but that's just crude and offensive. Jesus Christ, I was just asking if you're okay. Honest, if you enjoyed the rib. How do you think you were created? Fuck me, have some fruit, you moody cow. No, not from that tree. There is just no pleasing some people. Women. Am I right? Don't want to answer. As suggested, why shouldn't we talk about pulling? After all, it's just another version of reading people, a room or a situation. Don't you think? Maybe the chaps could benefit from a little reading in this department. I'm sure the ladies will be the first in the queue to say that, on the whole, men are a bit shit at it. When I was younger, or a while ago, let's say, 25, 30 years ago, on occasion me and my buddy would go out for an evening to hopefully meet a lady. You remember, back in the day, when it was okay to have that thought. We even approached some of them. I know. How very dare we? Now, I would like to say that I was prolific at pulling. Actually, I wouldn't, because if I said I was, then that would make me some form of pest. So let's just say I did my best. My friend used to say, if a lady looks at you once, she's noticed you. If twice, she's interested. Now, I think that still holds fairly strong today. However, interested doesn't particularly mean fancy or like. They may just be interested in why the hell you're actually looking at them. Again, reading is very important. Now, I know men have this theory that if a woman says hello, you kind of think, you know what, I think I'm in there. It's on. It's on like Donkey Kong. I'm not sure I even know what that means. I think us boys always need to have a friend to say, mate, it's a doctor's receptionist. She has to say hello. Either way, contact. That eye contact has been made. We have liftoff. Boys, it's now up to you to figure it out. Do you always get it right? No, of course not. Not even close. Now, I did this once, more than once. Got it horribly wrong. Now, I remember it like it was yesterday. I had seen this movie where the guy crossed a bar floor to chat up a lady. He goes, "Oh, hi, is there a clock above my head, or are you looking at me?" I thought, I like that. That's kind of cool. I was young, shut up. What I would like to say at this point is, part of reading is in the details. What I should have done before setting off on my journey across the bar floor was to see if there was an actual clock above my head. So I, almost certainly wearing something lemony with shoulder pads, it was the 80s, Wham and Miami Vice darlings, calmly walked across the bar floor, sipping on my drink for that last hit of confidence. Then bam! Delivering that killer line. She didn't stand a chance. The lucky thing. "Hi, is there a clock above my head, or are you looking at me?" I don't think I actually sounded like that, but in my head I did. Now she, the lady, used no words. She just put the straw to her lips and very coolly just pointed. My head turned slowly like a slightly drunk owl to see my friend smiling, and of course, a clock above his head. So what was my witty and cutting reply to this lady, who was with her friends, by the way? Nothing. Silence. I just stood there with my mouth and nose in what was once a lovely drink, wishing that it would refill itself in that moment. Time just seemed to stand still until she eventually walked away, which seemed to be an eternity. I think she was enjoying the moment. Fair enough, really. Fuck me, that walk back was the longest ever. Mandela's walk couldn't have felt that long. That's how not to read a room. It kind of felt like the whole venue was watching a car crash, and they were all slowing down to have a good look. As I said in part one of this, the landscape has changed now, and it's a jungle out there. But I really hope that men going out to chat up girls and girls chatting up guys never goes away. Of course, a mixture of some successes, but far more failures will occur. Who cares? It doesn't matter. It's always been great fun, with great stories at the end of it. Just to go sideways for a second, one of the reasons that I hope the pulling, chatting up thing doesn't ever change is because in 50 or 60 years, the older generation will have no stories to pass on to the next generation. The stories that we have now, me, in this moment, are just that, stories. No pictures. You can believe them or not, but you will never know. Not really. Doesn't that make them more fun? What will young people now have in 50 years' time? This is a picture of me at Starbucks on Friday night with my vanilla latte. This is my cat. This is another picture of my cat next to my latte because my cat is called Latte. Oh, and this is my avocado on sourdough at brunch. Exactly. Also, take the movie Hitch with Will Smith from, I think it was 2005. You remember, When We Liked Him. A very innocent and fun movie, but I bet if certain people watched it now, they would just pick it apart and make it out to be some predatory sexist movie that will 100% get cancelled. I mean, if Harry Potter and the extremely innocent TV show Friends are being shat on from a great height, then I think we're in trouble. Besides, all these fucking people that want complete purity and you can't swear or you can't do anything wrong, these are the fuckers that have got a basement. Know what I'm saying? Everybody is a hypocrite and nobody is whiter than white. Just to give you a quick example of the pulling thing, because I feel I really have to, as I said earlier. Now, I think this is okay, but you may disagree with me. I do wonder if my wife is going to listen to this episode. Ah, well, I do like my sofa. It is comfy. Imagine, if you will, a big old square bar. Actually, it was TGI Fridays in Covent Garden, London, the true home of the circus bartender. Let's say it's a Friday night out for the girls, and many have got their guard up. They almost expect men to go on the pull. One also suspects that sometimes they like the attention, sometimes not so much. As a guy, how do you know? You don't know. Not really. But if you have some reading skills, then you have a fighting chance. Now I realise that there are 1,000,000 read women and body language books out there. Whatever. Read a book if you want, but don't get all scientific and textbooky. And don't, for 1 millisecond, think that people, and especially women, are all the same. Because they're not. Women, they are human. Well, most of them. Some. Actually, I'm kidding. You're all lovely. There are so many ways to get it wrong and be offensive, especially if you don't read. I used to have this buddy that within 1 minute of a conversation with a lady, he would whip out his business card. No, no, no. Desperate and cheap. I once had a business partner who would always touch the shoulder or put his hand around the lady or the girl's waist. No, no, and very much no. Even when it was not really frowned upon to put your arm around a lady's waist, you still really shouldn't. He used to say to me that it's to let the girl know that he liked them. Lucky girl, right? Again, no. Trust me, the girl knows. Firstly, you've got drool coming out the side of your mouth. Also, you came to them. So no, Dick. Can the woman do the touchy arm thing with men? Yes. Is it a double standard? Yes. As a guy, do you really care? No. I've always said that if I had £1 for every woman that thought I was possibly gay, I would have a lot of pounds. Why? Because I would approach, chat, maybe be a little fruity, but never touch. Who knows, maybe I was just brought up the correct way. Am I promoting drinking? No. Actually, there's a tip right there for the boys. I used to, maybe foolishly, tell my mum about all my exploits. I seriously did. Now, she put me right and in my place so many times. Your mum will love you, even if you're a dick. But I bet her wisdom will stop you making a future dick of yourself. You may even learn some respect on how to treat women the right way. Maybe. Did my mum used to drink? Yeah, she loved the occasional snowball cocktail, which, if anybody knows it, is disgusting, and it looks like vomit. But she knew a lot. Am I promoting drinking? No, I'm promoting mums. Another way to read this, granted it's a slightly different read, it's not like the others where you are diving in with your business card or inappropriate space invading. Actually, that's quite good, isn't it? That's a quite good name for those guys. A space invader. There you go, ladies, you can have that one. With this one, you're just flirting. Example, I was working in a London city wine bar one night, 1,000,000 years ago. A couple of nice ladies sitting by the bar. The usual chat occurred from customer to bartender. Then there was a gap in the conversation, just wide enough to say, well, we could talk about that, whatever it was, I don't really remember, but maybe over dinner. Does that sound a bit sleazy to some of you? Sure, but what do you know? You weren't there. Context? Ever heard of it? Now, if I'd said, hello, how about dinner, just you and me? Yeah, fucking slimy, sure. But how about if I said, maybe we could have dinner? Do you feel a bit better now? Exactly. You don't know. To be fair, I think I was somewhere in between. Not sleazy, not geeky. So once you've delivered your line, don't stand there and wait for the answer. No need for that. You don't want to put the lady on the spot. You walk away. You do something else in the bar. Or if you're with your friends in a bar, just carry on a different conversation. Who is hurting during that encounter? Nobody. If the lady isn't interested and you have read poorly, nobody's embarrassed. It's done. The moment has gone. On the other hand, something nice might happen. And on this occasion, it did. On the way out the door, the lady gave me her number. Nice, right? She did make me sweat for about 3 hours, though. Well played her. Now, I know some guys will maybe try this approach 15 times a night and take it to the extreme, but I didn't. So like a very uncool person, I actually called her that night. Now you're thinking, that's very uncool, Wise. Well, you'd think. But why? None of this wait 2 or 3 days to call a girl, play it cool, make her sweat. Get over yourself, mate. Bollocks to that. I liked her. Earlier in the evening, she had told me the area that she lived in, so I timed it to make sure that she'd arrived home before calling her. No mobile phones in those days. I called, she answered. I didn't ask her out. I just said I wanted to make sure that the number you gave me was a real one. So let's talk soon. Bye-bye. We went out for a year, had a very nice time. Thank you very much. So to any man that says women are all the same, and I don't understand them, boo fucking who. And to any women that suggest that men all want one thing, get over yourself. I say to both parties, learn to read, because you're both wrong. So just to wind this down now, back to where this all started. We are at the Square Bar in TGI Fridays. So me and my chum were sitting at the Square Bar, having a drink and a chat. As I say, no phones, so talkie-talkie. We look like we don't care that much. Girls tend to like that. If you are a guy and you were sitting there panting at the bar looking like a dog with two dicks, then you're getting nowhere. We were actually talking. It wasn't an act. So as it goes, there was a couple of ladies having a drink sitting across the other side of the bar from us. So we sat and we watched men. I don't mean we sat and watched men. We were never confused. We watched men, 2 by 2, like in a shit Noah's Ark. They approached the ladies, and 2 by 2, getting swatted away like flies. They thought they arrived as men, but they left as boys. Then something strange happened. The ladies started looking in our direction. I don't think it was about us or who we were. I would never flatter myself that much. I figured they just wanted to look away from what was happening to them, and we just happened to be in their eye line. So pretty quickly we figured out that the girls were just bored and probably getting sick of the approach and the same old tired lines, which is when they would catch our eye looking over, and they would find us shaking our heads, suggesting, men, what are they like? The ladies were cautious at first, rightly so. Then 3 or 4 more groups of men later, me and my chum are now again sitting there shrugging our shoulders, implying, men, what are they like? So tiresome. So after what I felt was a suitable period of time, one of us set off on our toilet journey. We stopped en route to the bathroom and said to the ladies, sorry to interrupt, but what was the best or the worst line from the guys? Now, if you do this in a nice way, if you do it in the right way, the lady will start talking to you, which is exactly what happened. They opened up like a couple of beautiful flowers, and a new way of meeting beautiful ladies was born. Now, some may say that's a bit devious. I tend to disagree. I'd never been one to fight over women. It just didn't seem right, didn't seem natural. It seemed a little sort of cattle market-ish, a bit disrespectful. I mean, I'm not an animal after all. Were any of the other men being devious? Hopefully not. They were just being blokes, out on the pull on a Friday night. One would hope generally innocent in their pursuit. We, my friend and I, were guilty only of reading the room. Thinking back, it was probably a combination of playing a game, being a bit smarter than the other fellas, wasn't difficult, respect, and lacking in the confidence just to go up to a woman and approach her. As Winston Churchill said, why stand when you can sit? That was wank, wasn't it? However, it does link nicely into Churchill drank, and he knew things. Cheers. But he was also a white supremacist. You've been reading new books again, haven't you? He had some strong views, that's for sure. Hey, maybe you would have preferred the other bloke to have won. Moving on very quickly, how about reading a room as a team sport? Ever thought of it that way? Let's get back to work, shall we? We are now working in a bar. Let me give you a scenario that many of you will hate. I say I know because when I did a survey a while ago, let's call it the Wise Report, on what gets up a customer's arse, this came up a lot. It was staff saying hello to a customer. Who would have thought that saying hello to a customer would piss them off so much? But it does, and I for one tend to agree on this one, which is why I've decided to embellish in my own long-winded special way. Now, before we go any further, can we just acknowledge the genius of the Japanese? Their way of saying hello to customers. The Japanese way. Cuttlefish. What shall we do to welcome a customer? We don't want to piss him off and waste the time saying hello to every bastard that comes in. You know, I forgot it. Every time a customer walks into a restaurant, we shout, "Irashamase." Whoever thought of that first time? Genius. One word. Well, it may be 2 words, I really don't know. What I do know is that I would live in Japan tomorrow if I could. Well played. Now that's the Japanese way. Now let's look at the rest of the world. As a member of staff, you are just doing as instructed, and your job by saying hello to the customer. Nothing much wrong there. But, and there is a big but here, there is a level, meaning the amount of times that saying hello is acceptable before it becomes annoying to the customer. What you need to do is learn to read as a team. Explanation and a drink needed because my voice is going. Am I promoting drinking? No. I used to drill into my staff, as most of us do, the importance of saying hello to the customer. However, one day, I watched this couple walk past all 5 of my bartenders. The first bartender said hello, the second offered the same greeting, and so on. Within the space of 20 seconds or 20 yards, all 5 bartenders had said hello. Let's pause for a second and ask, do you think that situation is good or bad? And what issues, if any, do you have with it? What? I'm just saying hello. I'm doing my job. That's what you told us to do. God, this job is so hard. I'm not paid enough to do this. I'm a bartender. I'm a mixologist, not a professional greeter, you know. I'm just asking you to be aware of your surroundings and maybe read the situation. What? So you want me to say hello, mean it, and watch what all the other staff do as well? So unfair. Now I could see by the customer's face that 2 hellos appeared to be more than adequate, resulting in the final hello being greeted by an exhaustive and painful half smile from the customer. Maybe you don't realise just how irritating that can be for a customer. Maybe you don't think about it at all. Are you perhaps on autopilot or being a robot when at work? Is that at all possible? Maybe when you actually go out drinking, do you go to a place where the staff don't usually say hello? Maybe. Nothing wrong with that at all. But as always, and we always get back here in the end, it's not about you. And why piss the customer off before they've even sat down? I know that was not your intention, but that's also not a very good defence, is it? Why make your life harder than you already think it is? Of course, it goes without saying the customer wants to be recognised, but not at every turn. What's the solution? Of course you know the fucking solution. Learn to read. I know I sound like a condescending dick now, but when you're reading a book, you turn the page. Chances are, different words are on the next page from what you've just been reading. Just a guess. Every person, every situation is potentially different. I always think it's funny because hospitality is probably the one place where the robotic member of staff doesn't really belong. However, these days, I think it's everywhere, and it's getting worse. Don't be a robot when it comes to the hellos and the goodbyes. We've talked about this in other episodes. The customer knows. The customer isn't stupid. Don't just say hello for the sake of it. Mean it, or don't do it. I tell you what, I have a question for you. When someone says hello to you in any situation, in or out of work, can you tell whether they mean it or not? Of course you can. We all can. Now, if you think that the person didn't mean it when they said hello to you, would you have rathered that they didn't do it at all, based on the notion that you don't think it was meant? Again, I would wager 100% of you would agree. It's part of your job. I say it's part of your job because reading the room quite often is the difference between just being a member of staff or a good and valuable member of staff. The difference between creating or just existing. often I think it's the difference between getting a promotion or not, between tips and fuck all tips. What happens when you can read a room? Correct. You react quicker than anybody else in that room. This gift, if mastered, is fucking gold dust. Trust me. So, the customer entering the venue. By the way, if you think I'm going on about this, you'd be right. You as the customer walk in a bar. Bartender says hi. You reply accordingly. That's a pretty good start. We like it. 3 steps on, another bartender says, "Hi, how are you?" "Yeah, I'm good, thanks," you reply. You, as the customer, have now walked to the end of the bar, also passing a waitress who says hi, and another polite bartender who says, "Good evening, sir." At this point, no words are coming out of your mouth. You are just smiling and occasionally nodding. Reluctantly, of course. You, as the customer, are now waiting at the bar. You're safe. Nobody else is going to welcome you. Then the bartender, the one who's about to serve you, says, "Hi." The bartender is doing his or her job by acknowledging you. Now, the bartender hasn't noticed that 4 of his colleagues have already said hello to you. You then get served. The bartender tells you about the happy hour and the specials, but not before saying, "How was your day today, sir?" "I just want a fucking drink." However, if you, the customer, say that with words or even just think it, you are instantly branded the arsehole. You, the customer, have that now painful smile. You know, the one that looks like it was a fart, but I think it might now not have been. Can you picture it? It's almost like a sort of sinking feeling look on your face. The point being, individually, everybody did a great job. But you as the customer have had a bitch of a day. And at this point, you would literally drink cat piss out of a baby shitty diaper. Certainly, if it meant you didn't have to say hello to one more fucking member of staff. Now, I'm not saying this is how customers will feel every time. Some customers want the attention. They want to hear the specials. And then there are the customers who want to kill you if you utter one more syllable. You, my faithful hospitality friends, need to look into the customer's eyes. You need to look deep into their black customer souls. And in a split second, you need to figure all that shit out. You are a Jedi Master. You control the space. This is your house. Whose house? It's your house. You think I'm kidding? Well, I'm really not. Watch the great ones, the slick operators. They almost certainly drink. And they know. Watch and learn. Only if you care. Only if you want to be great. Again, this is the shit they don't teach you on your 2-day I'm now a complete mixologist training course or the induction circle jerk day. But it is a very important part of your job. Christ, it's an important part of life. There are so many things at play here. Facial expression, body language, age groups, physiology. Learn to read. It will save your life. Personally, I think it's kind of fun to read people and situations. I do it all the time, even when I don't need to or probably shouldn't. Practice makes mostly perfect, right? Now, seeing as we're nearing the end of our journey, I feel almost forced to give you this is what I would have done. I say forced because I don't really want to, because each venue runs things their own way, and I don't wish to sound condescending. However, I do believe not enough attention is given to the reading of people and situations. After all, we're all in the people business, are we not? Now, we've had one version, the negative, if you will. Not sure that as staff members you think you did anything particularly wrong, but let's have a more positive scenario so that we can all love each other and finish on a high note. So let's just say 2 people walk into a bar. You, this time as the bartender, have noticed the 4 hellos from the other bartenders and waitresses. Why? Because you're a professional. And like any good employee, you'll have extra eyes and a spare set of ears. Oh, did you not realise that those extras come with the job? Yeah, it's true. Think of it like a video game. You can pick up all these little extras just to help you survive. I mean, you have to know how to use them, of course. Now, It's your turn to greet the customer. You are the last man or woman standing, and you can turn this situation around, which you will, because you're a fucking hero. You can see in the customer's eyes that they are reaching in their pocket to bring out the single finger for everybody. They have had their 4 hellos from the staff, but you, as the last bartender, don't say hello. Don't do it. Resist the temptation. Just nod, maybe smile, and I guarantee the customer will feel that all they have to do, at most, is nod or smile back. They will be okay with it. Trust me. It's like a mirror image. You say hi, somebody says hi back. You wave, they probably wave, and so on. That is, bar psychology and physiology at its finest. If you can read like this, then you are on your way to greatness, my friends. You, as the bartender, also know that you won't be able to get to the customer anytime soon because you're pretty busy. Now, not everybody listening will agree with me on this, but stop what you're doing. Pop 2 empty glasses in front of the customer, then half fill the glasses with water, not full, no need to waste time. It's a token gesture after all. No water means you don't give a shit. 2 empty glasses in a bottle, not poured by you, means you don't care that much. Where pouring half a glass says hi and I see you. Then at the same time as pouring the water, let's call it multitasking, say, here's the drinks list, I'll get back to you. Now you have probably changed the customer's mood. Just like that, you sexy bartending magician you. David Copperfield, suck my balls. You were slick, you were friendly, you were cool, and you were practical. I love that shit. Even reading this now, I'm actually getting a little bit of wood just thinking about it, because that's how good that was. You are smoother than a cashmere codpiece. You are Clooney in Ocean's 11, Cary Grant in An Affair to Remember. You are Ray Liotta walking through the kitchen into the Copacabana Club in Goodfellas. I swear that act will take 10 seconds. The customer will also think it's pretty darn cool. It will also buy you some time, and the person you are serving won't mind, as it's 10 seconds. The customer you are actually serving will also dig your style, because you probably did the same thing to them 2 hours ago when they walked in. You, my delicious friend, are a circus act. You are the plate juggler, the mind reader, all wrapped up in one Matrix-style, Marvel-powered Star Wars character. Do this with everybody, and you become fluid. You are like water. Your wonderfulness is washing over everybody. As I said earlier, watch the great ones. Now, I may make light of this situation, but it's really not a joke. It's because I know. And if you know me, you know that I know. You also know that I drink. All right, that felt like a long one, as the actress said to the bishop. I hope you enjoyed that, everybody. Instagram and Facebook is now LBH Wise Oldman. The more that you like, the more that you follow, the more that you review, the more episodes you'll get, if you want them. Now, next week will be the last in this, the first series of Let's Be Honest. So make sure you tune in. For now, read, and read some more. As stated, you were not born an arsehole, and you were not born brilliant. You learnt. It's a choice. Open your eyes, read, and have a good time. Have a drink as well. That goes without saying. Am I promoting drinking? What do you think? See you next time, and thank you so much for listening.